Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the podcast. I'm really excited to do today's episode because it's going to be something that I think will be really helpful for a lot of people and also really resonate with a lot of people as well. So the title of the podcast is I Stormed Out of the Gym After 10 Minutes. What's wrong with me? So that's going to be something that I know really will land with a lot of people, because oftentimes we have lots of we set ourselves these goals to get into the gym or to go for runs or to do home workouts, and I know lots of people will actually struggle to get through that session, or they give up halfway, or they just sit half an hour in the car park outside the gym and leave without ever having stepped foot inside. So what we're going to talk about is not just the practical things you can do to make sure that you can actually get in the gym and get exercise as part of your routine and something that you actually enjoy, but we're going to look at the deeper stuff, the beliefs behind that, the thought process behind that, and how your identity shapes that experience and why it's so different for some people. Why some people, maybe your friends, your people you see on social media, seem to be able to love going to the gym, love exercising, whereas you find it a real source of stress and pressure and anxiety, and how we can and what we're going to talk about today is how we can fix that. A little bit of personal story as well from me in there about how I kind of struggle with that. And actually the title is something that is about me. So that was something that I really struggled with for a period of time. And I'm going to share that and how it impacted me. And I feel like that will resonate with a lot of people as well. So great episode we have coming up. It's episode 5. So thank you for tuning in. If you've already listened to some of the shows, I really appreciate it. And if you haven't yet, if this is your first time, make sure to subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, whatever you're listening to or watching this on. And I would love to know what you think of it. Let me know, drop me a message what you like about the show, leave a like, leave a comment, all the good stuff, as you know you typically would be asked to do. So let's start straight in. So before we jump into the actual the topic for today, just a quick bit of housekeeping. So last weekend I had a workshop for serial dieters. It was really helpful, actually. I think it helped the people who were in attendance, because oftentimes people come to me and it's not the first time that they've considered losing weight. They've often tried lots and lots of things in the past. So we looked at how nutrition can be improved so it gets us results and it doesn't feel like we're on a diet. We also touched on exercise and also the mindset around that, because ultimately those three things come together. So if you couldn't make it and you're wanting to get some help on that, the next best thing is to request a free copy of my book. So you go lesterkitchen.com/free, enter your info, and you get a free digital copy instantly to your email. You can buy it on Amazon if you want, or you can just get the free digital copy. It's completely up to you. Currently, I think we're on 28 reviews, 4.9 stars on Amazon. So it's something that I think will really help you. It's helped a lot of people so far. So if you are a bit stuck, if you're a bit of a serial dieter, if you can't get the results that you want, and you wanted to hit the beach, hit the pool this summer on holiday feeling good, if you want to feel confident in your clothes at the family barbecue and feel happy getting involved in those family and friend pictures when you're out and about, then that's a great place to get started. Other thing I've got coming up this weekend, so Sunday the 7th, I think it is. Sunday the 7th of May. So if you're watching this afterwards, then it's gone, but just drop me a message and I'm sure I can send you the replay. I've got a special guest expert who's going to be joining, and we are going to be covering body image, self-talk and mindset. So these are really important things, because ultimately what people often struggle with is either they struggle with their mindset and their self-talk, and it stops them from being consistent in the gym, stops them being consistent with exercise, because anytime anything goes wrong, they really take it to heart. They're very critical of themselves. They have a very strong inner critic, and that self-talk means that good is just never good enough, and ultimately that stops them from getting results. There'll be another portion of people who listen to this who have actually got great results. They might even be at their ultimate goal, their dream weight when they first started, but they don't feel as happy as they thought they would. They don't feel as content, they don't feel as confident, and oftentimes that can again tie into our self-talk and our own body image. People might look at you and think you're in great shape, but you don't feel it. So if either of those two types of people are you, if you're listening to that thinking, actually, yeah, that's me down to a T, then you can register for the free virtual event that I'm hosting on Sunday the 7th. It's at 3 p.m. If you can't make it live, then you can still register and you'll get access to the replay shortly after, which will be available for limited time shortly after. So go to lesterkitchen.com/seat to get your space, register, join live if you can. It gives you more immersive, gives you a chance to ask questions for myself and the guest speaker who's coming to join us. And then also, but if you can't make it, then you've got the replay as well. So let's get going. Let's get into it. So yeah, so I stormed out the gym after 10 minutes. What's wrong with me? So that's the title of this show. And actually, I'm going to start with a bit of a personal story, if I may. So when I was originally first coaching, 2014, I first started coaching. I was in my early 20s, lived at home with my mum, no responsibilities really, no real commitments in terms of like kind of life pressures. And I was very much loved being in the gym, loved meal prep, loved spending all the time in the gym, focus on exercise and nutrition. Fast forward to 2022. I'd moved away from coaching for a period of time. I'd got married and we were having our daughter, Sophia. So that was a big shift for me of becoming a new dad. And I know that lots of parents, lots of mums and dads, maybe new mums and dads who are listening right now, or maybe this was you 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you'll know that there's a huge shift in obviously your life when that happens. So one, there's a genuine shift in your life in terms of obviously sleep's not great. You're running on low sleep, broken sleep. You've also got the maybe the kind of worry, especially for me, during the first child. I mean, you're really worried about everything going, what could go wrong, hope everything's okay. That can be a real stress as well, a real pressure as well. And then also as well as the more mental side of it. So for me, going from someone who was very much enjoyed the gym and enjoyed nutrition and focusing on that, to now not wanting that to be a big part of my life. I didn't want that to be something that I was in the gym 6 times a week. I didn't want to be really focused on nutrition loads and loads and loads. And ultimately, I had this disconnect, I had this battle between what I previously had done, the identity I had before, and what I realistically wanted now. Okay, I wanted to be in great shape. I wanted to have energy. I wanted to have confidence, but I also wanted to spend lots and lots of time with my wife, my daughter. And I also had a career at the time, which was something that I really enjoyed and I really wanted to throw myself into. So everything kind of came at once, and exercise and diet was something that really suffered. And for a period of time, I kind of got into that out of shape dad. Do you know what I mean? I gained weight. I didn't gain 5 stone, but I certainly gained weight. I got probably the heaviest and most unhealthy that I'd been, because I wasn't in the gym as much. I was just kind of being a bit more achy, little niggling injuries. And you do get achy with training, but it's definitely more of a little niggles, back starting to get a bit sore, knees starting to get a bit sore through not training, kind of lack of exercise. And that really hit me hard, and I really struggled with that for probably the first 6 months. It was a real challenge for that. And as I gained weight and I kind of got more and more unfit, and what I would do during those months would be I'd kind of get to where you might be right now. I'd have like a bit of a trigger point and think, all right, okay, I need to sort this out. Like, it's not good enough. I need to get back in the gym. And we'd even built a home gym during COVID, like a lot of people have done. We converted the garage. We had barbells and dumbbells, and gym. It's not a fully fledged gym, but there's certainly enough that I could definitely train in there and get really good results, especially from where I was getting from. So I had no excuse, and I would set the target, right, okay, this Monday is going to be it. I'm going to be really clean. I'm going to get back on it, and I'm going to get to where I want to be. And I'd go in the gym and I'd just feel sluggish. It would feel really difficult. I'd feel really frustrated. I'd be annoyed that I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get in as often as I was previously. I knew that I didn't want to be spending as much time with the nutrition stuff. So it was almost like I was setting myself up for a failure. And I would get to the point where I would be in the gym for 5-10 minutes and I'd just be doing some half-assed exercise and I'd think, oh, fuck this. And I'd leave. And I'd get to that point and I'd storm out the gym after 5-10 minutes and I think, what's wrong with me? And I'd get really frustrated, because then that brings mood down, that brings energy down. I'm feeling annoyed, and I'm not happy with what I'm doing as my performance of what I'm doing, and I'm not executing what I feel like I should be able to. And it would be kind of a bit of a negativity spiral. Then the next weekend would come. I'd think, right, okay, I'm going to get back on it. Monday morning would come again, and it would be the same thing. And I know lots and lots of people who are listening to this, maybe you're in that right now. You're just about to start something again, maybe just trying to get a few pounds off before the summer holidays. Or maybe you're in one of those periods where you've just thought, screw this, and you're just not even going to bother anymore. You feel like it's hopeless and you don't know what to do. So hopefully this episode is going to be really, really impactful for you and really helpful for you. And I do genuinely get that. And I think sometimes that people might look at me, and I'm certainly not in the best shape ever, and there's thousands of people who are in much better shape than I am, but they might look at me and think, oh, well, what do you know? Do you mean you're not 5 stone overweight like I am, or you haven't struggled with this for 20 years like I have? But do you mean I do genuinely understand those same emotions that you're struggling with, wanting to get in the gym, but you can't, you're feeling like you're not doing good enough, you're feeling like a failure, and all those things that really make it difficult. And what I had to do to fix that was what we're going to talk about today, and ultimately everything that I used to get out of this out of shape dad era that I was in and get back to where I am now. And over a course of a few months, I kind of built back in, got back consistent with the gym, diet improved to a point where it was something I enjoyed and I was getting results, but I didn't have to be in the gym 6 days a week. I didn't have to be doing meal prep all day Sundays. I didn't have to be eating out of Tupperwares with chicken and broccoli in. And I kind of found that sweet spot between getting results and also enjoying life as a dad, as a husband, and doing fun social stuff and not feeling guilty for them. And that's what I put into my book. So again, if you haven't already got a copy of that, go off Amazon, buy a copy, or request a free copy of that as well. But essentially what I've put into there, and that's the approach that I use with clients for coaching, because that's ultimately what a lot of clients that I have are going through. They're just everyday people who have work, family, social commitments, life admin, house to take care of, and they don't want exercise and diet to take over everything, but at the same time they do want results. They want to be more confident, they want to fit in the clothes better, and they want to just feel more comfortable and happy in themselves. So today, so we're going to look into that. So what's the challenge when we are setting out for exercise? And probably actually before we dive into that, if you want to lose weight and you want to keep it off, exercise is going to be a very, very powerful tool to get there. Now, there's studies that show if you just diet down, your chances of regain are much higher than if you also incorporate exercise. So the chances of us keeping the weight off when we incorporate exercise into our lifestyle is much, much higher. We also typically don't just want to get smaller, we also want to feel toned, and we have like a nice shape. And that comes from exercise. Typically from doing weight training is going to be absolutely your best way to get as much tone and shape as you want. So we need to get exercise in. And also there's just the general health benefits. Okay, if you're doing exercise, you're helping your cardiovascular health, you're helping your mental health as well for a lot of people, and also your strength and independence and mobility and activity capacity is better if you're exercising consistently. And again, that doesn't mean you're in the gym every day. That doesn't mean you're beasting yourself in brutal workouts. That just means that you might get in twice a week, you do some really good quality weight training and combine it with a good diet, and you will get in fantastic shape if you give it long enough time, 6 weeks, 6 months, 12 months, and build it into part of your lifestyle. So we know that we agree at this point exercise is important. So how can we build our mindset around it, and how can we put things in place that make it easier to stick to, so you're not doing what I was doing and getting your hopes up and then storming out the gym 10 minutes into it thinking, what the hell's wrong with me? So first of all, let's start with understanding how important understanding our emotions are around exercise. So I'm going to kind of talk through a person's experience, a person who has bad experience and bad emotions around exercise, and then also the opposite for someone who has a good experience and a good emotions around exercise. So ahead of the gym, so let's say I'm going to go to the gym on it's a Wednesday morning right now. Let's say I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow morning. So for the person who has bad experiences, bad associations with exercise, before I'm thinking about going to the gym, I'm kind of dreading it. I'm thinking, I've got to get back to the gym tomorrow. I know I'm not going to enjoy it. I know that I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I feel like I know that I'm not going to stick to this, but I'm going to force myself to do it anyway. So before you even get in the gym, you've got bad emotions. You've got a day or two's worth of build up of feeling bad before you even get to the gym. Now, fast forward to you are now at the gym. Now, if you've got bad associations, bad emotions around the gym, your experience might be that you are on the gym floor and you're feeling really self-conscious. You're worried about what people are thinking about you. You feel like people are looking at you. You are conscious in your clothes, whether you're wearing so a big baggy hoodie and joggers, or whether you're in something a bit more fitting, you feel kind of self-conscious, you are worried about what people are thinking, you are anxious about maybe injuring yourself if you have challenges with back, knee, which is quite common for people. You might also be uncertain. You might be looking at a gym full of equipment and you don't know where to start. So oftentimes people will grab a treadmill. They'll go on the treadmill for 10 minutes, do a bit of walking, then they'll go on the cross trainer for 10 minutes, do a bit of walking. Then if they're feeling brave and it's quite quiet on the gym floor, they might step into the weights area and they might do a couple of sets of a random machine for an arbitrary number of reps, and they'll kind of leave the gym at that point. And they'll have experienced 30, 45, 60, maybe 90 minutes if you spend a lot of time there and you're not really very efficient with your time, of negative emotions. It's fear, it's doubt, it's anxiety, it's self-consciousness, and it's just not a good experience. And then you leave the gym, and then oftentimes we can feel like, oh, was that even worth it? I didn't enjoy it. And then I'm starting to fast forward to dreading the next session, maybe Saturday morning in a couple of days' time. So all my associations and all my emotions around exercise, going to the gym, or even if it's going to doing home workouts or it's going for a run, like all my associations around it before, during, and after are negative. And when we recognize that, it's no surprise that people find it difficult to get exercise into their life and that they struggle to be consistent with it. Because why would we want? Obviously, we would not be motivated and want to do something that creates so much negativity. Now, contrast that to someone who you might look at and think, oh, they love the gym. Let's contrast that to them. So before they're going to the gym, so the day before the gym schedule, the gym is in their schedule, they may be excited. They may be thinking, oh, do you know what I mean? I've been in the gym for a couple of days. I'm feeling ready to go. I know that I know what I'm going to do when I get there. I'm feeling confident. I know when I leave, I'm going to feel pretty good. I'm like, do you know what I mean? I'm okay with going to the gym. I might be even excited to go to the gym. Very different from the other person. Now, when I'm in the gym, when that person who has a good relationship with exercise walks into the gym, walks into the home gym area, goes for a run, they know what they're doing. They often will have a plan. They know that I'm going to do squats. And when they do squats, they know that they use the bar, and they know that how to put the clips on and how to put the weight on, and they know what weight they should use, and they know what tempo to use. They know how low they should be going. They know how it should feel like. They know how hard they should push themselves in the session, so they don't risk getting injured and they don't push themselves too hard, but they push themselves hard enough to feel like they worked up a sweat and they got a good session in. Again, the emotions are very, very different. They're probably focused on themselves, not other people's view of them. They're not worried about what people are thinking as much as the person who with a bad relationship with exercise in the gym is. And then when the person leaves the gym, they leave thinking, okay, that was a good workout. Sometimes it might be the best workout they've done. They might have hit a PR. It might be something that they really enjoyed. They left kind of thinking, okay, I've got more energy. I feel like I'm really good. I'm proud that I got through that session. And obviously other times it might be that they leave and they think, oh, do you mean that wasn't the best session, but at least I got it done. I've been consistent. I've been going to the gym now for several days, several weeks, several months, several years, maybe. And do you know what I mean? There's going to be ups and downs, and I'm okay with a session that wasn't amazing. But overall, I feel pretty good. So there's two people have very, very different experiences with the gym. One person with all those negative emotions is obviously going to find it really hard. The person who has good association, good relationship with the gym is obviously going to find it much easier. So straight away, we can see why the deck is loaded for that person. So what we want to do right now is we want to look at how can we retrain those emotions around exercise. So what can we do practically? So what are like logical, practical things that you can do to make your next gym session much more enjoyable? And also what a bit more emotional, a bit more higher level, a bit more identity belief based. What can we do to again retrain that relationship with exercise in the gym? Because we know that if we want to get results and keep them off, and we want to be toned and we want to have energy and mobile and be able to keep with our family, we want to be able to get exercising consistently, whether that's twice a week in the gym, whether that's 3 times a week on a run, whether that's 4 times a week with a bit of both, whatever you want to do. But ultimately, we need to get exercise in. So let's start with the logical, practical stuff first, because this is probably going to be the quickest half of it to get through. First of all, have a plan when you go in the gym. So have an understanding of what you're going to do. If you walk in the gym and you look at 50 pieces of equipment that you could use. You've got bars, you've got dumbbells, you've got machines, you've got cardio equipment, and you don't have a plan. Of course, you're going to feel overwhelmed. Of course, you're going to feel confused. Of course, you're going to be anxious and doubtful. So go into the gym. So before you go into the gym, have a plan of what you're going to do. It might be a bit more of a loose plan, depending on how experienced you are in the gym. But I would generally have quite a solid plan. Like, I'm going to go and do 2 sets of squats. I'm going to do 2 sets of leg extensions. I'm going to do 2 sets of lunges. I'm going to do 2 sets of chest press and 2 sets of rows, whatever it may be, whatever that may look like for you. But ultimately, I want to go in with a plan. So I go in, I walk to machine 1, I go to the squat rack, I go to this machine, and then I've done my session, then I leave for the day. Having a clear plan is going to help kill that confusion and that overwhelm which you're feeling right now when you step in the gym. So that would be number 1, have a clear plan. The other one is have a plan that you actually believe in. So you can get a plan off Instagram or your favorite influencer, or out of Women or Men's Health, or go and ChatGPT and brain dump everything that you've got going on and get a plan. And that can be good. Do you know what I mean? An okay plan, well executed, will get you results. The challenge is that oftentimes we want the best plan. We want the best plan. And that makes sense, because ultimately, especially if we don't want to be spending lots and lots of time in the gym, we need to make sure we're getting the best time for our best return for our investment of time. So if you're going to be in the gym twice a week, then you want to be making sure that you are doing 2 really good sessions that are built around you and that are set up in a way that are going to get you results. And we want to believe that. If you just shot something in ChatGPT, then I mean, you kind of don't believe that it's right for you. There's an element of mistrust there, of doubt, of self-doubt. So what we want to do is have a plan, but a plan that we believe in. So something that's built around you, for your goal, for your challenges, for your preferences. And over time, that plan should evolve with you. How quickly you progress, your preferences about exercises, what you do like, what you don't like, what injury limits you've got to work around. So ultimately, having a real plan that you believe in is going to be a big one. The next one is going to be having support. So you can borrow confidence from people around you. Now, that might mean that you go to a class where you've got other people who are like you, getting some kind of group instruction. It might be that you invest in coaching. And that's obviously what I do as part of the coaching that I deliver. Part of what I deliver to help people get results is exercise, coaching, one-to-one in the gym, on the gym floor. And that is immeasurably valuable, because what it allows you to do is if you're nervous in the gym, if you're not sure what to do in the gym, if you're skeptical, if you're anxious, you borrow confidence from the person you're with. So if you're in a group of people who are very nervous, about very skeptical, if you've ever gone to the gym with a friend or colleague or your partner and they also don't know what to do, great, now you've just got 2 people who don't know what to do. If you go with a friend or a partner or a colleague, or you invest in going to a group coaching, or you do one-to-one coaching, you borrow their confidence, you borrow their belief that it's going to work, and that allows you to feel like, okay, like I can do this. Again, it makes that experience of that 30 minutes, 60 minutes, an hour in the gym to be something much more enjoyable. Another one is going to be that personalization, that guidance. So knowing really what to do. So having 2 sets of squats down on a piece of paper or in your phone is a good start. But actually, how should that feel? How should your weight feel in your feet? How should your knees, where should your knees go? Where should your hips go? How should it feel on the way down? How should it feel on the way up? How hard should you push yourself? What type of feeling should I be getting in my legs versus what about if I've got a little bit of feeling in my lower back? Is that good? Is that bad? How do I know how hard to push myself so I'm getting enough of a stimulus to get results, but I'm not going too far? So getting some real guidance, and that can come from group training, but as someone who also runs some group coaching, it is difficult. It's much harder to do that when you are coaching 5, 10, 30 people than it is one-to-one. So if you are someone who is unsure on the gym floor, getting real guidance, it is going to be a big game changer for you, because again, it means that you're less anxious when you have someone saying, yeah, that's exactly what it should feel like. Okay, amazing. Well, now I can feel like I can go and do it. Now I feel confident that I'm doing the right thing. The final one is going to be to help you get some positive feedback. So tracking what you're doing in the gym and measuring that over time. So it might be that if you're doing cardio, how quick can you do that 5K? or how far can you go in a 10-minute run. It might be if you're lifting weights. Do you mean you did 10 kilos last week for 10 reps, and this week you did 12 kilos for 6 reps, and then the next week you're going to do 12 kilos for 8 reps, and over time you can see that you are getting stronger, you are getting fitter, and that helps to give like quite a quick feedback loop as a positive reinforcement. So all of a sudden I've got lots of positive emotions around the gym now, versus when I walk in, I don't really know what to do in. I don't really have a plan, so I just randomly do things. I don't track anything, so I have no idea if I'm getting any better. And when I do something in the gym, I have so much doubt and fear and anxiety that I have no idea whether it's right or wrong. That's going to be a completely different experience, and those logical, practical things can help build up the confidence and the enjoyment of going to the gym and doing exercise. So there's kind of your logical, practical stuff that you could be implementing right away. Do you mean you could implement some of those right away? You could reach out to a coach, you could book yourself on for a class, you could reach out to me, you could download my book, you could go on YouTube and spend a few hours learning different exercises and self-teach yourself if you really, really wanted to. But ultimately, there's some practical stuff for you to do. The next one is going to be what's the like emotional level stuff into there. So what's the emotions behind that? And this is a bit bigger picture, a bit less actionable, but at the same time can potentially be more valuable. So the first one is going to be our self-talk. So, and that's what the event that I'm hosting this weekend is going to cover. So if you are interested, register for your seat, lesterkitching.com/seat, or drop me a message. But essentially how we talk about ourselves in that before, during and after time of going to the gym, of exercising, is going to be huge. So again, tracking back to my personal experience of when I was stepping in the home gym and leaving after 5 minutes because I was so frustrated and annoyed, it would be I would be always comparing myself. I would be thinking, oh, it's not good enough. Like, I'm not going to be able to get enough of a workout in this week. I'm not going to be able to train enough to get good results. So I'm setting myself up for failure in that I don't believe that I can get results out of the time that I have to train and exercise. And if you are going into that position where you're going to be doing exercise, but you don't really believe it's going to work for you, then again, of course, you're not going to want to do that. Of course, you're not going to enjoy doing that. So how we talk about ourselves in that period is going to be really, really important. Also, as well, when we are seeing maybe some progress in the gym, if we're seeing the numbers go up, but we say, oh, well, yeah, but before I used to do 50 kilos, now I'm only doing 30. Again, we're bringing ourselves down. We're talking very negatively about ourselves. We're being very critical of ourselves. And again, that makes it harder for me to enjoy it. I'm going to be much less likely to go and want to do it again. The same thing for when I'm on the gym floor. If I'm being really critical of how I feel and how I look and my body and how others perceive me, then again, that's going to make it hard for me. So how we talk about ourselves and how we view ourselves is going to be really, really important. So what we want to do is try and build some awareness around that. So try and catch yourself doing it. And that's where it can be something that takes effort. It takes time to develop, because a lot of the self-talk that you'll have will be built up from years and years of just repeated patterns. And that could be from stuff from when you were, it could trend back to when you were a kid. Do you know what I mean? It could trend back to experiences when you first started work, when your first experiences in the gym, if it's a bit more specific to the gym scenario. But ultimately, things have happened over our lives that shape how we think, how we believe, and then we base our actions off our thoughts and our beliefs and our identity around that. So what we want to do is, first of all, we need to be aware of that. So if we can catch ourselves in that negative self-talk and really just kind of question it and think, is that fair for me to say? And again, that's certainly something that takes time. It's not something that you're going to start doing today and fix by tomorrow. It might be a process that takes weeks, months, but ultimately that could be the biggest change in your entire life if you are someone who really struggles with negative self-talk, because that won't only just bleed into your ability to exercise, that'll bleed into when you make food choices, that'll bleed into how your relationships are with family and friends and colleagues, that'll build into your relationship and your confidence in social situations and at work and how you perform. So really what we want to do is try and, first of all, become aware of our self-talk and then build something around it, have some strategies in place to fix it. And once we can do that, then all of a sudden things are going to change for us. And the gym and exercise is just one thing that will change for us. The next thing we want to do is be specific and not vague. So if we are thinking of an emotion that if we're thinking of our emotional response to it, try and be specific about why we're not feeling why we're not feeling right. So do you mean if we just say, oh, I hate the gym, or do you mean, oh, the gym's going to be terrible tomorrow? Try and dig into why. Like, what specifically about it? Because oftentimes we can kind of take the sting off it. It can be, we can kind of realize, oh, well, it's when I go to this specific area of the gym, or when I do this specific exercise in the gym, that I don't like how I feel like my stomach kind of folds over, and I feel like I feel really flabby. So you might build on working on how can you improve that. How can you work on that? How can you either build a strategy and different self-talk so you can do that exercise or do that activity, or it might be a case of that you just don't include that for now, and you work on that outside of the gym and trying to improve that, and you come back to that exercise or go to that specific situation at a later date. So we want to be specific about what we're feeling bad about, because oftentimes we'll find that it's not the whole gym experience. It might be one or two parts of that. And what we can do is we can either put strategies in place, or we can park those for now and work on getting things that we're more confident in, more confident in, more enjoyment from. We can get doing that. So for you, it might be that, I mean, if you can't get in the gym, if you can't even stay in the gym for that full half an hour that you had planned, or that full hour that you had planned, maybe it is you just go in and you're just going to walk on the treadmill. You walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes. I was speaking to someone the other day on Monday who started the fat loss program that we run at the gym, and he's kind of really struggled with exercise and nutrition, because he's got lots and lots going on in his life. And he kind of said that the win today was to get in the gym. And he was absolutely right. Like, for him, that is a win. And you've got to bring the bar down for where you're at right now. And that kind of moves on to the next point, is comparison is going to be a real killer for you. And what we want to try and do is not be comparing ourselves to other people, and even be comparing yourselves to former you. So again, talking about my personal story that I mentioned at the start of my new dad era, where I became this out of shape dad who couldn't get in the gym and couldn't stay consistent, despite being a coach for years and years prior to that, and exercising for probably 15 years. Not 15 years, probably 13 years of exercise, building up to that point. Obviously, ebbs and flows and things like that, but generally quite consistent exercise for 13 years, up to the point of this new dad era. And now I couldn't string a week of training together. I could barely string a session of training together. Like, that was a huge weight from that was pressure, because I was comparing myself to this former me, this identity of a previous me. And again, that comparison was a killer. Now, you might never have, you might be someone who's kind of always been out of shape, never been able to get in the gym, and you might be comparing yourself to your sister, to your brother, to your friends who are in the same kind of situations with you. They have the same kind of work as you, same full-time, part-time, the same kind of level of work as you in terms of pressure and stress. They might have the same amount of kids, might have same family life, same social life, but they can somehow stay in shape and eat relatively well and be a reasonable, healthy weight for them, and they can exercise either regularly, or they just can stay quite active and healthy in their day-to-day life, versus you who can't, even though you've got similar situations, similar circumstances. But that comparison is just going to kill you, because you're going to set out thinking anything that you do, any success that you could possibly have, you are never going to give yourself the credit for, because you're comparing yourself to, well, yeah, but Susan does this 4 times a week, and I've only just got in the gym once. Or former me was used to be getting in the gym 4 or 5 times a week, sometimes 5 or 6 times a week. And I can't even I'm probably going to get in twice this week. Like, that's not good enough. That's not even half of what I need to be doing. So again, that comparison, whether it's to other people or to people that you actually know or people that you see on social media, is going to kill you. So what you need to do is that's where the tracking from your own exercise can come in really helpful, because it is very like cliche, like it's you versus you kind of bullshit. But at the same time, again, it is pretty true. Like, if we can get in that mindset of, last week's me did 2 sessions and I'm going to try and get 2 sessions this week. And last week I did 8 kilos, and this week I'm going to go up to 10 kilos. And you do it, amazing. But if you're always going to say, yeah, but 20 years ago or 5 years ago, I was doing 20 kilos, like, you're never going to win. You're never going to be able to stick to your exercise, because you just constantly, anytime you take a step forward, you're going to smash yourself down 2 or 3 steps back. And it's just going to be an absolute brutal battle for you, whether it's comparing yourself to others or comparing yourself to previous versions of you. It's gonna kill you. So that would be the other emotional part of that. And the final one I got down was trying to look at how you view yourself and your identity. And again, this is like really bigger picture stuff, which is more than 3 tips to get back in the gym this week. It's looking at all the things that you've done in the past. And if you've had several failed attempts at the past, maybe over a number of years, you've tried different things. You've tried boot camps, home gym equipment, you've tried going for runs, you've tried joining gyms, and you've failed to stick at that. It can be very easy to internalize that and say, oh, well, that's me. That's just me. I can't get into exercise. I don't like exercise. I can't stick to exercise. And if we do that, we turn that into it's me and it's my identity. And we'll often fight, in spite of the damage that it's doing to us, to maintain our own identity, even if we don't like it, or that we don't like the results of it. So what we want to do is try and disassociate ourselves from the previous strategies that haven't worked for us. And we want to recognize that that's exactly what they are. They were strategies. They were plays. I joined a gym and it didn't work. Now, there is an element of accountability. Like, you still need to put the effort in to go to the gym, and you can't just blame the gym. You can't just blame everything. If you got divorced 7 times, then you probably need to start looking at, it's probably you. It's not the seven divorce partners. But we also want to recognize that it was a strategy. So if you joined the gym and it didn't work, you didn't stick to it. Okay, well, why? Let's look deeper. Why didn't it work? Well, it was because it was 25 minutes away from work, and after a night, after a busy day at work, when I'd go in an evening, it would take me ages to get there. It would take me then ages to get home. I'd have to battle through rush hour traffic, so it actually took me an hour to get there. And then when I got there, it was always really busy, because it was one of those busy commercial gyms, and I'd literally be queuing up to use a machine for like 10 minutes before I would even get to use a machine, and I hated it. Okay, well, do you mean there's an element of you in there? Like, you still could. Do you mean the beast mode version of you would say, yeah, but you could have still done that. You could have still done that. You could have still got going. But again, being realistic and for the real world and thinking like practically, well, guess what? Well, probably having to commute for 25 minutes, an hour to get to a gym is going to make it really, really hard for you to stick to it. So that probably strategy-wise was probably not great. Then the fact that you're in a commercial gym, which is absolutely packed to the rafters at 6 o'clock on an evening when you go, that's also probably a strategy issue, because then obviously your workout's going to be really clunky. Even if you can force yourself through it, you're spending ages there and you're not really enjoying it, and you're kind of mishmashing a workout together because there's so much gym floor congestion that you can't really get a proper workout in anyway, and you've got big rest periods because you're waiting for machines. So really, it's the strategy didn't work for you. Now, what we want to do now is just not repeat that same pattern. So don't go to a different gym that's also miles away and that's also packed to the rafters at 6 o'clock on an evening. Find a different gym. Find one that is closer. Then all of a sudden, this new strategy, I don't have that hour commute or that 25-minute commute. I now have a 5-minute commute from work. So all of a sudden, I'm much, much more likely to stick to it. And it's got nothing to do with me, my identity. It's just I'm following a better plan. I'm following a better strategy that's more likely to work for me and make it easier for me to stick to. The other one might be looking at diet-wise. So if you've tried Weight Watchers and Slimming World, which a lot of people have, and it didn't work for you long term. Maybe it worked for a bit, but it didn't work for you long term, because that's potentially why you listen to this podcast or this show. Then, okay, well, what didn't we like about it? Well, it might be that you didn't like going and getting weighed by someone else. Maybe it was that you didn't really feel that you learned that much there. Maybe it was that you didn't like the kind of nutrition approach to it. Maybe it was because the foods that you were eating at the time, by following the plan, didn't really agree with you. Maybe you had doing physical, it didn't really help with your maybe you had digestive issues, maybe you had bloating around certain foods that you were having at the time, so it was not enjoyable to have. Maybe it left you really hungry, maybe whatever it may be. But look at the strategy behind the diet. Okay, well, it didn't work because X. Okay, well, when I'm going to try this new strategy, I'm going to plan to fix that by doing A, B, and C. And then all of a sudden, we've taken it away from I can't exercise, I can't stick to a diet, I'm always going to be this weight. Exercise isn't for me. I'm big boned. All my family are overweight, so I'm destined to be overweight. I can't lose weight because I've got 2 kids and a busy job that sometimes means I'm staying late and I'm really stressed from. I can't lose weight because I've always got stuff on my social calendar because I'm very popular and very cool. What we want to do is just recognize that we want to move ourselves away from the identity and recognize there is a strategy out there that allows us to exercise and eat in a way that gets us into a much healthier place to be, both mentally and physically. And once we do that, we're laughing and we're moving in the right direction. So that's what I had for you today. So I hope that is really, really helpful in terms of if you are struggling with exercise, or you're struggling to stay committed with exercise, stay on track with exercise. And if you are in that position, look at the things we talked about there. So there's practical stuff we talked about, and there's also more emotional, bigger picture strategy stuff and identity and belief stuff we talked about there as well. So it might be a little from column A, a little from column B, but ultimately you can do this. You can do this and you can make this work. It's just a case of finding the right thing for you and rebuilding your relationship maybe with exercise. So it's something that you don't hate and dread and feel anxious and nervous and scared about. It's something that actually feels like, okay, well, I can do this and I might enjoy it for the majority of the time. It might still be obviously hard. I might have to push myself and some days I won't feel like it, but ultimately I'm generally going to feel pretty good and I'm going to like the exercise experience. And if you can do that, then you're going to get fantastic results without having to spend all your time in the gym and without having to do crazy diets. So if you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit like, subscribe, drop me a comment, tell me what you liked about it the most. Share it with a friend as well. And then, like I said, if you haven't already, either buy a copy of my book off Amazon. It's called Fat Loss for the Real World. Or you can request your free digital copy. If you go to lesterkitchen.com/free, you can get your free copy of the book. If you are considering, if you want a little bit of help more with the mindset stuff, the self-talk, the body image, then the workshop that I'm hosting this weekend, the virtual workshop I'm hosting this weekend, will be a really good fit for you. So it's going to be Sunday, the 7th of May. Let me just check that it's Sunday, actually, because I keep saying 7th. It is Sunday. And it is the 7th. There we go. So Sunday, the 7th of May. It's at 3 p.m. If you register, you will get access to the to join live. You can ask questions. You can make it a really personalized experience for you. And also, if you can't make it live, still register. And for a period of time, the replay will be available for you to watch back, so you can still get the most of it. So that's really for people who are either can't stick to exercise because their self-talk is so critical, if they really struggle with just getting in the gym and being consistent with it because of our self-talk and our mindset around food, and we have a bit of an all or nothing mindset. Or you might be the other type of person who's actually got results, maybe even all the way at your ultimate goal, and you still don't feel happier, or you still don't feel as happy as you hoped that you would. You don't feel as confident as you hoped that you would. You still feel insecure and a bit anxious, a bit self-conscious. So that could potentially tie into how you see yourself and your mindset and your body image. So that's what the workshop's about. It's going to be me hosting it, and I've also brought in a special guest expert speaker who is going to be doing a good share of the coaching and the teaching on this as well. So it's going to be something absolutely really, really, really valuable if that's something that you struggle with. So request your seat, lesterkitchen.com/seat for that. And I'll either see you on Sunday or make sure you get the replay if you have registered. Any questions you've got, anything that you are struggling with right now, just let me know. Send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, send me an email, whatever. I'm more than happy to help you out, whether that's where send a copy of the book, whether it's coming to an event, or whatever that may look like for you. So have a fantastic rest of your day, fantastic rest of your week. Hope this episode was really, really helpful, and I'll be back next week for another episode. The week after, I'm actually away on holiday, so I'm really looking forward to that. So we're going to be going away with my wife and 2 kids, so Sophia and Harry. So we are very, very excited for that. It's going to be very much a holiday by the pool, and we base our holiday selections off how cool the slides look and everything, how cool the hotel looks and all the slides and things like that look at the moment. So we are, yeah, I'm really excited for that. So that'll be fun. And yeah, it's going to be an amazing time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next show. If you need anything, drop me a message. Thank you. Bye.